A lot of communities, it's become too expensive for police, fire, and EMS to live in the city they serve. I'm Greg Friese, a paramedic, educator, and runner. I'm going to talk about this with my friend Joel.
I'm Joel Neild. I'm a registered mental health counselor intern, a former firefighter, and a paramedic.
Joel, this story caught my eye from Trenton. They're proposing workforce housing, a 48-unit housing development that would provide attainable housing for their police, fire, and EMS and other essential workers. I've only heard about this in a few places. Is this something you're familiar with? And what do you think the effect might be on recruitment and retention?
This is the first time I've heard about it for first responders, really. Kind of surprised. When I think about this, I think about the old company towns from the mines. And I know SpaceX is doing something in Texas as well. But this is the first time I'm hearing about it in order to recruit more first responders. The initial question is, what is the disparity between the base rate of pay for the responders and how much it costs to live in the city?
Well, one of the things that is on my mind is, and I think about this from a mental health perspective of, is there value in being able to leave the place you work and drive, say, 20, 30 minutes or more to a separate community to live where you're not likely to see your patients in the grocery store or at your kid's soccer game, or compared to the value of being in the community that you serve and having those connections to the people in place? Think about that from a mental health clinician standpoint. What do you think?
They actually both have value. I've met people who will intentionally not work in the area they live to avoid that because that's what they need to do to protect themselves from making runs on their friends and their family members. And for them, there's also the value of once I leave work, that drive home is a decompression time for them. And for other people, especially your volunteer departments, having to respond to incidences in the community is going to raise that possibility of coming across people you know. But that's more of you're doing it for the benefit of the community, and there is some altruistic positive return you get for doing that. I think they can both be valuable. From a mental health standpoint, you do run across, if you work in the same place you live, you may have more reminders of some traumatic events that you saw. So in that case, if that is causing you problems, then I would seek professional help from a licensed therapist.
I think it's worth it for agencies to cast a wide net in considering what's going to help us recruit and retain staff. Is it pay and benefits? I think leadership is really important, the opportunity for professional advancement. Housing and being able to make more affordable housing available to your personnel could move the needle. I think that's worth exploring. Another really novel area is childcare, and that is something that's emerging in law enforcement. It's the availability of law enforcement personnel specific childcare that runs 24/7, 365, and then also wellness benefits. As you think about things that could move the needle in terms of recruitment and retention, where do you think agencies can have the most impact?
I think leadership is one of the areas you'd have the most impact, and taking care of your people. I think that is something that we see less of the more, managers get involved in things, because the more the first responders feel like just employees, it makes it harder for them, especially when you have to go through all the things. So if they really know that you're there to support them, then they're more likely to stay there, because that is really the number one thing I think that keeps people in the service. That I feel supported by my fire chief, by my police chief. I feel supported by my captain. I can talk to them about anything. That's really what I think is the key to retention. Recruitment, it's the same thing, because if you love your job and you feel supported by your department, you're going to tell people about it, and people are going to want to come work there.
Your insight is spot on there, Joel, and it's a lot cheaper to invest in your leaders than build 48 units of housing. Hopefully Trenton's also investing in their leaders, and they've got fantastic top-level leaders in their organizations, and then those middle managers and field supervisors. If we're already crushing it on leadership, then maybe we look at other things like
Right.
housing. Joel, your final thought on this new story?
No, I think that's right. I understand why they're doing it. To some degree. I also wonder, there's a lot of background going on there. So is that really the problem that they can't find housing? What's the desire for keeping them in the city? So I think more investment in your leadership and taking care of your people will get you a much, much greater return than building 48 housing units.
Joel, if people want to connect with you and learn more about your work and your services, how can they find you?
The best way to find me is through my website at joelneild.com.